Certainly their conventional capabilities have been dramatically degraded, reportedly have lost at least half of their tank fleet without the capacity to replace it. Missile stocks are dwindling. One of the reports in the last 24 hours or so is that it appears that they can only conduct missile attacks twice a week now instead of every night. Certainly they still have Iranian drones and others to cause additional casualties and damage to infrastructure and so forth. But no, they have been dramatically weakened. I think that their conventional forces have been set back at least a generation or so. And the military-industrial complex does not appear remotely capable of spooling up, if you will, to replace what it is that they have lost. In fact, it's hard-pressed even to repair what has been lost. So in that regard, I think there's no question. But Russia still has lots of other capabilities, including the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. Size doesn't necessarily matter there beyond a certain point, to be sure. We obviously have a very substantial nuclear force as well, and it's a triad and more than adequate for deterrence. But again, that capability is there. We should be concerned about the possibility of it being used. We should take measures to ensure that Vladimir Putin is deterred from employing it, and those measures have been taken. U.S. leaders have, for example, said that there would be catastrophic consequences for such use. And in fact, the Chinese and Indian leaders have cautioned Putin against using nuclear weapons. So there should be a global effort, as there has been, frankly, to ensure that that component of his military power isn't employed. Beyond that, let's not overlook the continuing economic capability of Russia. It still is one of the largest natural gas and crude oil and coal producers in the world. There are a number of countries in the world still willing to buy that at a considerable discount, to be sure, but still the world does need that oil, gas, and coal. And it also produces strategic minerals and agricultural products that other countries are willing to buy as well. So Russia will be dramatically diminished in terms of its conventional military capabilities, but it's by no means a country that should be counted out. One of the biggest of the big ideas about transformation of the U.S. forces in particular is that we are transitioning from a small number of very large and incredibly capable, heavily manned and exorbitantly expensive platforms, the most substantial of which, of course, is an aircraft carrier, but also other major maritime combatants, aircraft, the F-35, main battle tanks, etc. And we're going to transition to a larger number of much smaller unmanned systems. And it's not just the drones as we currently think of them in the sky. It's on the surface of the ocean, it's subsea, it's on the ground, it's in space, even in cyberspace. And these are systems, some of which will be remotely piloted, others of which will be algorithmically driven. Some may be together with manned systems, some may be completely apart from them. It's a transformation that will take a very long time, and we're not going to give up all of the small number of large platforms by any means. Those are still hugely, incredibly useful in a variety of different scenarios. But if you are in a world where if it can be seen, it can be hit, and if it can be hit, it can be killed, then you've got to make that transition, because unless you can adequately defend those platforms, and by the way, we also have to defend our bases, we have to harden those, make them more resilient, again, improve their defenses, our headquarters around the world, etc., particularly in a particular theater. If you don't do that, again, the vulnerability is going to be very, very high. So rather than again, thinking of the drones that you see in the sky in Ukraine, which are, again, quite modest in their capability, their range, their flight time, and so forth, used very effectively, especially by the Ukrainians, who have shown a real facility for integrating their capabilities with precision munitions. despite that, what we would see in the future is just dramatically different. Again, the ranges, the speed, the capabilities, and the sheer number of these will be extraordinary.